Today, we're talking about something that's the only way you can describe it is betrayal. We're talking about when the other woman is your best friend.
As far as I'm concerned, they say men think about sex every 3 seconds.
Why do men think
because
about
of the way they're built. Men
How are they
are
built?
polygamous by nature.
No, oh no.
I think only the men can answer that question, but we can only guess.
No.
Men will cheat because they love adventure.
No.
Men will cheat because they say by nature they are supposed to cheat.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Amazons. Welcome to another wonderful, amazing edition of Amazons. Today, we're talking about something that's the only way you can describe it is betrayal. We're talking about when the other woman is your best friend. Majority of women, a large percent of women in the world have been, betrayed by their spouse at one point or the other, right? Let's face it, men cheat, women cheat. In the world today, it's not limited to men alone. Women also cheat. Now, in a country like ours, you're lucky. It's luck here. If your husband is faithful, you're counted as a lucky woman. This is something that should be the normal. But in Nigeria, your husband is faithful. People are looking at you and wondering, what is the juju or the magic? Dolapo, Aisha, what is the juju or the magic?
Well, I think in any situation at all, I think when you have betrayal, it's something that's very, very difficult to deal with. In as much as talk less of it happening between two people that you actually care about and actually make up your immediate family. So I wouldn't say it's easier for the other woman to be someone you don't know, but I think it is worse if the other woman is someone that you're used to. So it's, I don't know what causes it, and it's not only in Nigeria, Bimbo. These things happen
Oh no, it's
all
world
over
over.
the world.
It's world over. Here, the difference is here. Look, in England, everywhere else in the world, if your husband is lucky, it's a norm. It's something that's expected that when you say I do, that you're going to stay with that one person. But in Nigeria, it's the opposite, is what I'm saying. What do you think, Aisha?
Men, you ask the question, why do men cheat? I think only the men can answer that question, but we can only guess.
No.
Men will cheat because they love adventure.
No.
Men will cheat because they say by nature they are supposed to cheat.
Aisha, can I ask you a really funny question? Who is in charge of the training of the children?
Women.
Who trains boys?
Women.
So if your sons are not faithful to their partners, isn't it something that women have done wrong?
No, Bimbo, I disagree.
I totally, let me tell you what I mean.
I disagree.
Let me explain.
I disagree.
You can talk about yourself as in, personally, I wouldn't do that. But the majority, what we know is that, check this out. Your son brings a girl to the house and you're excited. Your daughter brings a boy to the house. You do not smile about it.
I don't think it has anything to do with your upbringing when
It's
it comes
part of
to
your
cheating.
training.
As far as I'm concerned, they say men think about sex every 3 seconds.
Why do men think
Because
about
of the way they're built. Men
How are they
are
built?
polygamous by nature.
No, oh no, please, that's not true.
Read up on it.
That is totally not
No,
That's
read
what
up
they
on
say.
it.
But if you
Read up on
the
it.
behavioral pattern, the behavioral pattern of the men will suggest that they are polygamous by nature.
Look, let's look at it from this point, Aisha.
woman.
Let me tell you what I'm saying. Let's look at it from this point. English men have the same urges. American men have the same urges. Men world over have the same urges. But it's a big deal when you cheat on your wife outside Nigeria, abroad, outside Africa. Because we have a polygamous nature. In certain areas, it's okay for you to have 2, 3, 4, 5 wives.
Yeah, because it's acceptable.
It's acceptable to who?
Here,
To
yeah.
women?
To the society here. But it's abnormal. It's not acceptable in these places you've mentioned.
Exactly
But it happens anyway.
Of course it does. Oh
Yeah.
no. World over, It happens. Men cheat. Women cheat.
You see, guys, you need to understand one thing. You need to separate society. If you want to talk about men that cheat in a particular society, it's different. And you can say, okay, because society allows it and permits it, then obviously maybe it's a little bit more obvious. At the same time, if you're talking about men, I would say men in general. It doesn't matter where they are, because think about it. Most of these football stars and sport people that have been cheating on their wives for such a long time.
What percentage are we talking about now?
It's high. It's high. It's just because you don't get to hear about it.
When it comes to people in the limelight, you hear about it. Do you know what I'm saying? Let me explain why I'm saying that. Because your life, you're like a fish in a bowl.
The open,
everything you do is for public notice. Everybody,
that's right.
People want to know about everything. When you eat, what you eat, how you eat, what colors you like. So if you do one small, it's like Nigeria. Have you noticed that in the press recently? I read this on Facebook or everywhere that they say they're praying for Nigerian actresses, because all of them seem to be losing their marriages. What percentage of Nigerian actresses are you talking about? So when it comes to people who are in the limelight, it's a different thing entirely, because your life is blown out of proportion. We're talking about the other woman, and today we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
So me, I was like, while my husband be doing all this without telling me, I said, okay, on my own, I'm a chap girl, let me just go deep down and, fetch out some informations. So actually, I went down, I searched out for my information, and I now confirmed everything that it was true, that they were actually dating.
When somebody have a mental health problem, you don't just throw a pill at the person and say, okay, take this and you are fixed. If there are social and psychological issues, which may include marriage, which may include relationships and all that, there are areas by which we think we might be able to make some amends. We call people together. So to that extent, I have done counseling for married couples and families.
Welcome back. You're still watching Amazons, and we are talking about when the other woman is your best friend. Now, in any situation, in any culture, in any country, in any language, it's a betrayal of trust when your partner cheats. Now, it's a double whammy when it's with your best friend, because your best friend is for me, I always say this, I say, my friends are the sisters that I choose. You're born with your sisters. You can't change them. Well, you're stuck with them for life. You just have to love them.
Just like you love me.
Yeah, well, you were one of those ones I chose. So you're my sister because I chose you, which is why you're one of my, best friends. Imagine that someone that you've chosen by yourself as your family now does this huge betrayal with your partner. Isn't that just the worst?
That can flip you. It can just flip you and flip you for good. That somebody that you trust, somebody that is a confidant, somebody that you share everything with, except this man that you cherish, who is sacrosanct to you. And this person is the one supposedly cheating with your man. It can just it can send a woman to depression, and you never come out of it. It is absolute betrayal of that bond called friendship.
Yeah, Bimbo, I'm sorry, Aisha. Because my best friend decides to do whatever she wants to do with my partner or my husband, for me personally, I wouldn't allow it to flip me.
You're a stronger person on a regular.
No, but you know why? Because I'm just being sensible. Because sometimes, look, let's move away from the fact that it's a bad thing, sentimental emotion. And sometimes two people can meet each other under whatever circumstances and something can happen. And they can grow to love each other.
See, of all men everywhere,
it happens.
It is that one that is my own.
That you fall in love with.
That's of all men.
Aisha, honestly, it happens.
Dolapo, I agree with you, it does happen. You don't choose who you love. Or who you fall in love with.
Happen.
But I believe that if you have any sort of morals, if you believe in anything, you walk away.
when you're being controlled by your emotion.
I still can't rationalize it.
You can fall in love
I cannot make it's making excuses for this person who has decided to sleep with her best to betray.
You know what about the man? What about the man? Why are we blaming the best friend?
Well, we're not talking about this alone, of course. We have guests in the house. Please join me as we welcome Otone Annie Cynthia. She's a businesswoman and a victim.
How are you? Thank you so much for coming.
Hello. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Can I call you Cynthia? Cynthia, one thing I'll say first is, you know, it's for me, I love this. The fact that women, Nigerians, are coming out to talk about what has had their experiences, their situations, because, you know, a while back we wouldn't do this. It'd be like, oh no, everybody will be looking at me. So first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you for coming here. Thank you, because I know you're going to share your story with us. What happened? Your best friend cheated on you, your husband cheated on you with your best friend.
Yeah.
Wow. How did that make you feel?
Well, I wasn't happy at all. It breaks my heart, and it tears my family apart.
Are you still with your husband?
No, not anymore.
What happened? Was it a case of he decided to be with her? Or?
Not really, not really.
So what happened exactly? How did your husband how did he end up with your best friend, or how did your best friend steal your husband from you?
How did you find out?
I found out through some friends. My best friend who goes to some of my friends are like, I saw Cynthia's husband, he's a nice guy, he gave me this, he gave me that. So my friends started coming. When they came, they were like, your friend, your best friend said your husband is a nice man, gave her this, gave her that and all that. So me, I was like, well, my husband be doing all this without telling me. I said, okay, on my own, I'm a chap girl, let me just go deep down and, you know, fetch out some informations. So actually, I went down, I searched out for my information, and I now confirmed everything that it was true, that they were actually dating.
When you say your best friend, because I don't know what best friend to me, I use that word very loosely these days, you understand? When you say your best friend as in someone you see how many times in a week, someone you grew up with, someone that you share information with, or an acquaintance.
We actually grew up together, the same primary school, secondary school.
So she was your very, very, very close friend.
Very close friend, very close friend.
And I mean, thinking back now, because sometimes when you're in a situation, it's easier to project outward and begin to look for people and blame people. You don't think you've contributed to this happening in any way by encouraging without knowing you're encouraging in any way, sharing information, or because some women are very funny. You know, your husband buys you a car, you're running off, you're telling your friend. Your husband is doing this, you're running off and tell your friend. And sometimes, like you said, human nature, greed, wants, need, can actually push people to actually do that because they want what you want as well. So do you think you contributed to it anyway, thinking back now?
So be sincere, yeah. I'm this simple person, I'm down to earth. I'm like, babes, look at what he bought for me today. Even when we were dating, I never knew she was having interest. She was being jealous. I never knew. I was like,
Was your husband a common friend between you and your friend before you got married?
Not really.
Did your friend also know your husband?
Not really. I brought her to my family.
We have another guest that I'm going to bring in because I think we need a psychiatrist so that we just look at the effect that this has on the couple. Because I know for some marriages, they do not scatter. It actually brings them closer, stuff like this. So we're going to bring in our second guest. We have Dr. Olayinka Atilola, psychiatrist with Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. A round of applause, please. You're very welcome. Thank you for being part of the program. Oh, yes, please.
Hello, doctor.
Yeah,
welcome to the Amazon.
Thank you so much, doctor.
Please, join us. So you're very welcome to the program. We're happy to have you. So tell me, what do you think the effects of betrayal on a marriage? Is it possible, is it truly possible to mend that marriage again, to have it go back to the way it was, or is it a new relationship totally after a betrayal?
Well, on the issue of betrayal and marriage continuing the way it was, it all depends on the individuals and the kind of understanding that they may be able to have after the event. Because even after you may have been betrayed, if there is enough evidence of remorse, there is enough evidence of a will to wanting to renew the marriage contract, starting from a fresh note and having some understanding and showing remorse and showing a will to make a change, I believe that it is possible. And of course, on the other party who had felt betrayed, the ability to also rise above the betrayer and wanting to make the marriage work, because there are human differences, human behavior. Even when somebody has done something wrong, it's all a function of how do you want to forge ahead after that. It doesn't necessarily mean the end of a marriage. And at the same time, even without a betrayer, there might be other issues in the marriage, ab initio, which may make even a slight, a betrayal to look like, well, this is the last straw for me. So it all depends on the individuals and how they are able to resolve the issues and move on. Either move on forward or move on to say, okay, let's put an end to this. So a lot of other factors will come.
Have you done any counseling for relationships with couples?
Yeah, well, in the course of my work as a mental health physician, because many a times when people come with a mental health problem, we don't look only at the biological factors that may have led to the mental health problem. We also look at the social factors, and sometimes there might be issues of problem within the marriage, problem within the home, problem within the family, of which we sometimes organize things like family meeting, which is like an addition to the medical treatment that we are offering. Because when somebody has a mental health problem, you don't just throw a pill at the person and say, okay, take this and you are fixed. If there are social and psychological issues, which may include marriage, which may include relationships and all that, there are areas by which we think we might be able to make some amends. We call people together. So to that extent, I have done counseling for
that.
Married couples and families.
Okay, I was going to ask you, before you came on set, Aisha said that the fact that the other woman, or where the person that is having the affair with the husband or the boyfriend, that it makes it more painful. I mean, would you say, I mean, with what you do and being a counselor and all that, would you say when you're counseling people who have these things happen to them and the victim, or what would you call the other woman? Well, the other woman is not someone that they know. Would you say they find it easy to actually make up and be able to get their lives back together in comparison to those who are actually finding that it actually happened, you know, in close, you know, close environment? Would you say there's a difference?
Well, again, like I said, one of the most complex issue in life is human behavior, human emotion, and it's never universal. This varies from person to person. To some, it's the symbolic meaning of an event to individuals will differ. To some, the fact that this is my friend, somebody will say, no, this is the peak of it, I can't take this. While another one may view it as, say, well, thank God it's somebody I know, it's something within, and not something without. So it all depends on the perspective. And as a therapist, or a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a mental health physician, when you are counseling people, you are not imposing what you thought should be the norm. Is to first find out the symbolic meaning of whatever was happening to that person, and to address areas which you may think that maybe the person is not viewing it correctly, or the person may have maybe over emotionalized the issues. But these are not questions that are easy to answer because human behaviors are very complex. But I must say definitely that just like every traumatic event that somebody may experience, the fact that something happens to you involving your emotion, involving things about your emotion can actually make you to develop a mental health problem, just like any other traumatic event that anybody may have.
So it doesn't really make much difference, really, to be honest. It just depends on how you handle issues like that when you come
Dr.
across.
Langer, do you think that men are wired to be promiscuous?
Again, those are things that are very complex and individualized. Because I've heard this thing people say a lot. I'm a doctor. And people will say, oh, I learned that you doctors do, as in you are promiscuous. And the ready answer I give to them is that doctors belong to the middle class. You are not too high up there. You are not too low there. And you are around, you meet people. Just like will be for a banker, just like will be for a middle class executive of a company. So anybody that move around, meet people, meet different people every day, the chances are that a connection may get struck along the line, and people tend to now generalize that to say, oh, men are wired. I don't think anybody is wired for anything. It's just a function of the kind of milieu where you find yourself and how you are able to, maybe your background, moral upbringing, maybe your background, social upbringing, or the way you've been socialized in life. All these things will affect the way you think, and I don't think it's about wiring.
Emotions are not, it's not something that you can see. Emotions is what you can feel inside of you. And if there's a betrayal of that magnitude that can make a woman send them to depression, which is, mental health illness, and to come out, how do you, as a mental health physician, how do you deal with that complexity of a feeling that you cannot see, but it's there? How do you, what kind of treatment do you give? It's not, you can't prescribe medication for somebody to, this is a pill, take it, and then you forget that your friend betrayed you. How complex is it to manage a case of a depression that is as a result of this kind of betrayal?
Okay, well, I think I will first start by, in answering that question, I will start by saying that a lot of people around actually have an incredible level of resilience that you may not be able to imagine. Very bad things have happened to people, and they've been able to come out of it without much mental health difficulties. However, we also know that the degree of vulnerability of persons differ. So when you come down with depression as a result of a domestic issue, like maybe husband having an affair, or husband having an affair with your friend, or something like that, we believe that you have always been susceptible to depression ab initio. So one of the first things that we will do is to first do, well, if the depression is, by the time you come to the hospital, most likely the depression is severe enough, because most people with mild depression are likely to just be around probably struggling within themselves or meeting their spiritual counselor or some. But by the time you get to the hospital, it's most likely going to be like between moderate and severe. And that will probably require medication. But the goal is not just to just give you that, because I cannot even probably counsel you properly when you are still moderately to severely depressed. You probably may not even be able to follow the argument. So if I give you medication to get you out of that severe depressed state, then we'll listen to you. And we'll listen without thinking that, oh, this thing that has happened is so bad. Because sometimes something that may not look so bad may get somebody depressed, while something that looks so bad will not get somebody depressed. It's just a function of like I said before, the symbolic meaning. And that is what we target in trying to get the person out of it, to show the person different perspective that she might not have thought of about this. Like, okay, how long have you known this, your husband? What are the good things that you remember that he has done? Okay, maybe to also minimize it, to show that, well, even when this is bad and it has happened, why not look at this other perspective, especially because our goal at that time is to get you out of that state, not to apportion who is to blame or who is not to blame, but to get you out of that state so that even your own ability to now manage the situation by yourself, because the goal is not to manage the situation for you, but to get you to that point when you could be more realistic about what is going on and know how you will navigate it. And if the decision, we don't advise. If your decision is that I don't want this marriage anymore, we'll just show you what are the implications of being out of marriage, what are the implications of being in marriage, what are the strengths in the marriage, what are the weaknesses. So when you look at all this, our goal is to eventually get that individual to take the decision and the decision that you take by yourself are usually likely to give you more satisfaction than what people tell you that I think this is the best thing you should do now. So it's to just use that approach to get the person to that level.
Cynthia, how long were you married for?
I was married for 4 years.
4 years. Do you have any children?
Yeah, I've got two.
2 children?
2 girls.
When this happened, did you talk to anybody?
Yeah, I spoke to his family, to my family as well.
Did you see a professional?
Yeah. Yeah, my pastor. I saw my pastor and some of my uncles. Some counselors too, I saw them. But the guy's head was no longer there. He was carried away.
By this other woman?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? I don't know if it's me, but it seems like you're
still hurting.
You're still hurting.
Yeah, in a way, though the guy is late now. But
did you guys get to talk about the situation before he died?
Not really, nope.
But definitely that ended your friendship with this lady. I mean,
no, for me...
Have you forgiven? You're back together? You're friends again? What is your status with her?
I have forgiven her. I bear no grudges against her. But I had to keep distance because she can kill me.
Yeah.
You never can tell. Maybe the next guy.
Okay, so what lesson did you take from that experience to where you are now?
So many lessons. I learned how to keep to myself, keep my things to myself. I am my best friend.
No man is an island. Remember that. I need to ask you, Doctor, forgiveness. Is this part of the way forward? Is this part of the path towards, regaining your emotions? When you truly forgive that person, have you truly moved on? Because Cynthia says she has forgiven, but looking at her, you can see how troubled she still is by this whole situation. And unfortunately, the man is dead. So is forgiveness, a step in the right direction, a step towards healing?
Yeah, you see, the issue of healing is usually, maybe like all issues in mental health, are usually very complex, in that forgiving someone could allow you to find a peace within yourself that, look, I've forgiven you. But at the same time, no matter how much peace you might have found within yourself, sometimes it's still not unlikely that you will still see that person or learn something about that person and you still feel yourself hurting. But one of the ways to go about that is to remind yourself of the fact that, look, I need to put this behind so that I can move on. Not that it is that simple, not that it is that easy, but it's probably one of the steps. But other steps will include to talk to people, especially people that have knowledge about issues like this. When she mentioned the fact that she spoke with a pastor, I was nodding my head because
Yes,
I recognized that that is a resource. Because I always tell people that spiritual counseling, which I've actually mentioned in the course of this discussion, what you may also call secular counseling, if that is an appropriate word. They are all part of what persons need. But at times also, it's not impossible that we need more than that. Because sometimes a lot of things happen around you. Everyday hassles, disappointments, other social problems that you may not have even thought of, and they may coalesce together and get you into a state of depression. But when you are in that state, the tendency is for you to pick on one of the events and take it as the culprit. It may not necessarily be so, because the way we understand mental health issues is that when it's like a cup being full, but then even if that tips you, but there's a lot of things in the cup have been issued before something is. So in counseling, we look at all these things holistically and use that to know beyond forgiving or forgetting. But if there are practical issues that you need to address, we address. If there are things you need to do to give you, because there are other things you can do to improve your state of mental health, so if I may use that word, which goes beyond just forgiving people. And sometimes you may actually need more specialized care.
Cynthia, are you in a relationship now?
No?
Have you been in a relationship since this happened to you?
Yeah.
You have. And did it last?
No.
Maybe it's time to let go. Maybe it really is time to let go. Things happen to us for a reason, right? It's not your fault, you're not to blame. People make their own decisions. It wasn't your decision, okay? We're going to take a short break. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for sharing with us. Doctor, thank you for being here. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Amazons, and we are talking about a situation that's, well, what I would call a double betrayal, when the other woman is your best friend. Wow, we've spoken with someone who's gone through this. We've spoken with a psychiatrist. What do you think? I feel so worked up on Cynthia's behalf because she can't get closure at the end of the day because this man is dead. She needs to move on.
Yeah, I think you told her that much, Bimbo, because looking at her, the experience to her is still very hurting.
Very hurting. Yes.
Maybe perhaps, like you said, she didn't have the time to really heal in the process of trying to deal with this betrayal by her friend, her late husband. And from my assessment of her sitting down here, being across me, I think she needs help.
I
help
do.
Of
counseling, talking, getting through
so
this.
that she can get a closure and move on with her life.
Alive, because she's got 2 daughters.
Yes.
You don't want to be transmitting bad vibes about men and people in general to your children in future, which is, you know, it's such a vicious circle. From, if you're not careful, you keep transferring from one person to the other, and it keeps going round and round and round. We have 2 more guests that we're bringing in. We want to get more perspectives. We're coming to you, and those of you at home. If you'd like to participate, please feel free to send your comments to our Facebook page and to our website. We would love to hear from you. So we're bringing in a man and a woman to talk to us about male and female perspectives when it comes to cheating and, you know, how you feel when your best friend is that person that betrayed you. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause for Mr. Bayo Olatunji, an estate surveyor, and Mrs. Adiola Ajayi, an interior decorator. Thank you so much for being a part of our discussion today. How does it feel when the other person is your best friend? We're talking about when that person that has wrecked your whole life, or something that you've been building for God knows how long, is almost over, for some people over, because of another person, and that other person turns out to be your best friend. But before we even go there, I need to ask, because I always want a male perspective on this. Do men realize what damage that they're doing to their partners when they cheat? Do men realize? Do they understand what the impacts, how it feels for the other party? Do men realize? Do you guys? Do you know?
Of course, but at the same time, women also cheat.
Oh, no, we're not saying women don't cheat. Don't get me wrong.
The man has not answered the question.
I want to understand that. Do you realize how damaging it is to your partner and your relationship when you cheat?
I think they do.
You think they do?
Yeah.
Man, tell us the truth. We're watching you.
I'm being sincere, they do.
Because sometimes it feels like men do these things without thought for their partner, without thought for the consequences. It's especially here where every night you go and hang out at the beer parlor, anything can happen. It's a situation where it's like you guys feed off each other. Because every time you're hanging out at one place, one person is bringing one girl, and then for some people you're feeling like, oh God, for me to be part of this setting, I must also bring my girl. When you're thinking about all those things, don't you think about the fact? Don't men think about the fact that I shouldn't do that because I have an important relationship?
Well, I believe it is an individual thing.
So can I ask you a very funny question? Have you ever cheated on your partner? God is watching. God is watching.
I want me to answer that.
Okay, don't answer. We're coming back to that. Because when you said you wanted to answer, just scared me. We're coming back to that. You're a woman.
Yes.
Has this ever happened to you?
Men are promiscuous.
Has this ever happened to you?
Yes.
And you're still with your partner?
Yes, I am.
How did you guys, build back trust?
No, you mean if it has happened to me,
Has your partner
cheated before or cheated with my best friend?
No, cheating in general with your best
yeah,
friend.
of course, men are promiscuous in nature. You can't take that off them.
And you guys were able to
resolve it, yes.
Resolve it, get over the betrayal.
Yes.
And it's not something that's happening anymore?
Yes.
You're certain of that?
Initially we were saying, okay, perhaps the women are to blame because we raised the men to be what they were.
I'm sorry.
Listening to her now, she's making excuses.
For him already?
For him already, that they, by nature,
men are promiscuous.
They are promiscuous.
Yes, they are promiscuous.
I concur with her.
From talking to other men and having friends, is this a normal thing that men do? Do men actually give their sons that speech about being, treating women right because you have your mother is a woman, your sisters are women, and treating your body as a temple of God? In all honesty, you got that speech.
I got it.
How many people do you know that got that same speech?
I wouldn't know, but I know myself, I got it.
And are you passing the same speech on to your children?
Yeah.
Are there things that the women do to help push the man in the arms of the other woman?
Okay, leading the man astray.
Yes.
That's your partner?
Yeah, mostly it's through nagging. If you have a nagging wife, if you close for the day, instead of you going home straight, you just decide to hang out with your friends and anything can happen. I'm married to a gentle woman. She's not social. She prefers to stay indoor 24/7. She's an event planner. But me, due to the nature of my job, an estate surveyor, I go about. I go out a lot. There is no week that I'm even in Lagos. 2 or 3 days I'm outside Lagos. So with that, anytime I'm coming home, I know I'm going to go to the house, sit down, we talk, we do this, we do that, but nothing like, yeah, let us go out for a drink.
How would you feel if it was you that this happened to? How would you feel? Would you in any situation have a relationship with your wife's friend?
Can never happen.
Why?
Because I won't even give it a trial, not a single chance. Anytime she has a visitor in the house, it is then I will now go into the bathroom, take a shower, then get out of the house. No contact with any of our friends.
Why does it have to be like that? Is it because you don't trust yourself, or is it because you don't want it to happen?
It's not because I don't trust myself. But some women have seductive nature. They will go to the extent of taking you down, and I don't want it.
Maybe if you're not looking, you won't see the seductive look.
The way you talk to some at times, they will read meaning to it. Just mere greeting, they will be feeling, maybe this guy likes me. I'm telling you, I'm being sincere.
I even think there should always
just
be
like you said earlier. No, you go to some houses, you see your friend's wife opening her laps for you to see. So what will you do in that situation?
You look the other way.
Well, you don't go back to that.
It's tempting.
He's being realistic. Temptation is everywhere.
Even if my wife wants to use my phone to call any of our friends, I resist.
So these are all preventive measures.
Yes, on my own part.
For you not to...
Thank you so much for sharing with us. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Watching Amazons, and we are talking about a situation when the other woman is your best friend. And we've heard so many different opinions today. We've experienced, we've lived other people's experiences through their sharing of it. Wow, Talako, okay, she said prepare yourself for it because that's life. It's going to happen, so be prepared for it. Do you believe that's the way forward?
I think it's not. I wouldn't say it's the way forward. I'll say it's the only way forward in the present situation that we find ourselves in the society all over the world. But man, woman, anyone that wants to cheat will cheat. Sometimes we contribute to it. Sometimes we give them excuses to do it. But it's something that's happening, will happen, and really and honestly will always happen. So it's a case of just being aware of the fact and preparing yourself, especially where there are children involved. You can't afford, you don't have the luxury to lock yourself up in a room the way we deal with heartbreak when we're younger, when you're a wife and you're a mother and you find out that your husband is doing something outside, or vice versa when it's the man. Because you've got children, so you need to buckle up, and be there for the kids because that's what's important.
Aisha, what advice would you give young girls?
What the lady said about preparing your mind for a cheating husband or a cheating partner, a cheating spouse, is not a sensible thing to do, but is a practical thing to do. Because in one word, you have emotions, you are connected to this man, you want to keep your home, and you don't want to give this other woman who is your best friend the luxury of moving in when you move out. Because moving out is not even an option, because you don't want to give the man the pleasure of eating his cake and having it again. Do you understand? So you have to stay, you stay put, and then it then depends on the strength of character of the woman to be able to ride through, especially when she's deeply emotionally attached to her spouse. Then you now have to dig deep for the strength within you, because you never know what strength a woman has until she's faced with a challenge that she knows a decision has to be made, and there's only one decision to be made. She's going to make that decision, and she's going to come out of it strong and better for it.
I'll just say, try and know your partner as well as you can. Pick the best person that's best for you, and deal with any situation as a family, especially when children are involved. Think twice. hopefully we helped. Hopefully something we said today helped somebody out there. And if that happened, we are grateful. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this program. We'll see you soon. Bye.